I sent over 1 million emails and learned that 99% of what you've been told about email marketing is wrong. Copywriting doesn't matter as much as you think, tracking your open rates is a waste of time, and the best email lists aren't built with lead magnets. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 12 unconventional rules that took me from struggling to make sales to generating thousands of dollars every time I send an email. To start, let me show you why the best source of leads has nothing to do with ads, SEO, or social media. And that's lesson number one. Pay affiliates 75 to 100% commission. The best source of leads for your email list isn't going to be ads or SEO or even social media. It's paying these affiliates 75 to 100% commission on your front end product. Now you're probably wondering why you would ever give away all your money, right? You dumb neck tattoo guy. Why would I do that? Well, the news is that most people are greedy. They offer 30 to 50% commission when they wonder why no big affiliates promote their stuff. The solution is to give away 75 to 100% on the front end. My mentor Derek Johansson taught me this. He grew his list for 15 years to tens of thousands of subscribers only with affiliate traffic because the real money is in upselling and back-end offers, right? So you're getting paid buyers to your funnel for free. So here's an example of how I use this for my business so you can do the same. I had a big affiliate promote one of my products. The affiliate earned $20,000, and sure, I had to pay him $15,000, but I literally got 75 new paying customers on my email list who went on to buy other products. So the lifetime value of that customer is super high. But the story doesn't end there, because once you get those buyers onto your list, you have to write to them, which brings me to the next point. Copywriting. The truth about using professional copywriting frameworks on your email list, hint, professional copywriters have lied to you. I'm telling you this because I used to spend hours agonizing over the perfect words, transition, ad hooks, you name it. And the internet is full of nonsense when it comes to copywriting that makes writing emails feel like a high school essay, and this results into overthinking, paralysis analysis, or sending an email that looks like a polished turd. So, screw copywriting. The words in your email are the least important part of whether someone buys. You need to write emails that feel like a text from a friend rather than a polished sales letter. Your brain can't write to 1,000 people, right? It's too abstract. You need to write to one person, and that's the person sitting across from you. So let me show you an example of this in action. I wrote a 19-word email that got me over $3,000 in a day. It said the best investment I made in 2024, the Copy Hour course from Derek Johansson. I included a screenshot of the course dashboard and a link to buy. That 19-word email worked because I had spent months building trust with my list and talking to them like they were friends. And once you stop obsessing over the words, you realize you don't necessarily have to write a new email every single day. And that's rule number 3. Make your winners work for you. Let me switch gears for a moment and tell you about the biggest waste of time in business. You sit down at your desk, you stare at the blank screen, and you try to reinvent the wheel every single morning. But you write a brilliant email, and it makes you a bunch of money, and then you never use it again. This is exhausting, and it's why most people quit email marketing after a month or two. But you need to make your winning emails work for you. When an email crushes it, save it. Put it in an automated sequence. Send it again 6 months later. Your audience won't remember it, and even if they do, the new people haven't seen this mail before. I have a sequence of 30 emails that I wrote over a year ago, and every time an email wins, I put it into my autoresponder. So every time someone joins my list, they just get my best performing emails that makes me more and more sales. I don't touch them or edit them. And that automated sequence alone generates thousands of dollars for me every month on autopilot. I did the work once, and it pays me every single time. But consider this. If you're reusing your winners, you might be tempted to stare at your analytics all day, which brings me to rule number 4, stop tracking your metrics. Here's what to never do when you send an email campaign and why. If you get this wrong, you'll drive yourself insane and ruin your business at the same time. Now, I have to admit, when I first heard this advice, I thought it was backwards because business owners are obsessed with open rates and click rates, and they refresh their dashboard every time they hit send, but open rates are broken. Apple's privacy updates made them inaccurate years ago, so if you're obsessing over a 22% open rate versus a 24% open rate, you're focusing on vanity metrics that don't pay the bills. So the solution is to stop looking at your metrics. The only metric that actually matters is revenue. Are people buying? If the answer is yes, your open rate doesn't matter. I had a client with 660 people opening his emails and only had like a 23% open rate. He hadn't emailed them in months, and most marketers that he talked to said you can't work with those stats. Your list is dead. But I wrote them a 6-day email campaign and earned over $13,000 in sales from that tiny list. So the metrics said the list was dead, but the bank account said otherwise. So what does this all mean? It means you need to focus on how people buy, which brings me to rule number 5, 80% of the sales come on the last day. What if I told you that your email is not converting into sales has nothing to do with your product? Here's why I bring this up. Understanding human psychology is the only way to make money online. Because most business owners launch a product, they'll send one email, they'll get a few sales, and they just give up and let everything go quiet. They think their product sucks or their audience hates them, but they don't understand that there's 3 types of buyers. The first type is logical buyers who need facts. The second are emotional buyers who need to purchase based on feeling. They need stories. And number 3 is the biggest pool, and that's urgent buyers who literally will not pull out their credit card until the absolute second, which is most of humanity, or they're all procrastinators for some reason. But if you stop emailing after a day or 2, you're missing out on the hugest chunk of your revenue. You need to use the urgency concentration strategy. You have to keep emailing more and more as you get closer to the deadline. You need to remind them that the timer's ticking down. 80% of your sales will come on the last day, and it's usually in the last few hours. During my first launch, I sent 5 emails over 4 days, and by day 3, I made around like $4,000. I thought I was a complete loser with a neck tattoo. But on day 4, I sent 3 emails reminding them, hey, the offer's closing at midnight, and in those final 12 hours, the revenue shot up to $18,000. So the urgent buyers finally woke up. Now you might be thinking, if I need to send that many emails, won't people be mad? Yeah, they will. Which brings me to rule number 6. Piss people off. The truth about unsubscribes, hint, they don't matter. If you're terrified of getting an angry reply, you'll put yourself into a corner by writing boring vanilla emails that doesn't offend anyone. It doesn't, have a clear voice. People stop reading it. If you're trying to please everyone, as a result, you're not going to please anyone. And then your emails will probably sound like a corporate press release, and your audience just falls asleep reading them. So if you're sacrificing sales just to avoid a few mean comments from people who would never buy from you anyway, then you're just missing out, right? But what if I told you the highest converting emails are polarizing and controversial? You need to piss people off. You need to take a stand. You need to share a bold opinion. Draw a line in the sand. When you repel the wrong people, you attract the right people. Unsubscribes aren't a punishment. Just remember that. They're a filtering mechanism. I sent emails saying that using AI to write all of your copy will make you sound like a robot, and I kind of had some attitude, and a bunch of the AI tech bros got furious and unsubscribed and told me I was going to be replaced one day. But you know what else happened? The business owners who valued authentic connection loved it. That email had one of the highest click-through rates of the month and brought in a ton of sales, as well as replies that got me fans and people that love reading my emails, right? So look, you'll be glad to know that you don't always have to be the one yelling from the rooftops. Sometimes your clients can do it for you. And that brings me to point number 7, the client story email. Give me 20 seconds and I'll show you how to write high-converting sales emails that don't sound sleazy. If you're like most business owners, you don't want to sound like a, used car salesman shouting, buy now. So you actually just awkwardly drop a link in the PS section of the email and hope someone clicks on it. Or worse, you just try to list out features of your product and it looks like a boring instruction manual. Fun fact, nobody buys features. So you need to tell stories about your customers and clients who got results using the hero's journey framework. Instead of bragging about how great your product is, tell a story about how someone used your product or your offer and got a massive result. Because when people read a story about someone just like themselves overcoming a struggle, they naturally want the same solution. So instead of telling your list, hey, buy my marketing course, you can tell a story about how a single mother who struggled to grow her TikTok account and how your course helped her pick the right platform, post the right content, she went viral, got customers, woo, etc., right? People can envision themselves in that mother's shoes. The story does the selling. But stories are only as good as the big idea behind them. And that brings me to rule number 8, the big idea. You have a great product and a great story, but your emails can still get ignored. Why? Because your one core message, your one big idea isn't clear. You're saying the exact same thing as all of your competitors. For example, how many times have you seen, learn how to make money online, get rich super fast, get fit in 30 days. It's white noise now. It's static. Your audience has heard all of these a million times, and they've developed this blocker in their heads when they see these claims. So you need a great big idea. And a big idea is just a unique mechanism or a fresh perspective that makes your audience stop and think, wait, I've never heard it explained like that before. It takes a common problem and it frames it in a new way. So here's an example. Instead of saying, how to get better at email marketing, I created a big idea around the Great Trust Recession. I explained that people aren't buying because they've been burned by fake gurus and now AI slop. So the big idea was to survive the Great Trust Recessions by writing emails that feel like they're coming from a friend. The big idea changed the way my audience viewed my emails. And what makes this so special? Well, once you have a great big idea, you can talk about it forever. It becomes part of your brand. You just need to know how to pivot and say that big idea in 1,000 different ways. Which brings me to rule number 9, use angles. Let me ask you a question. Do you get writer's block every time you sit down to email your list? You don't need more ideas. You actually just need a better way to look at the ones you already have. Because business owners think they've already talked about every possible topic in their market, or they feel like they've been repeating themselves and don't say anything at all, right? And the solution is angles. An angle is like moving a camera around the same subject. You take one big idea, but you reframe it from a different perspective. This allows you to say the same thing in a dozen different ways without sounding repetitive. So let's say your big idea is how to get more sales. Well, you can use the worst way angle, the absolute worst way to get sales. Then you can use the time frame angle, how to double your sales in 24 hours. Or you can use the story angle, the exact steps I took to get my first 100 sales. You see, one great big idea, 3 different emails. This brings me to rule number 10, interest tagging. So here's the sneaky way professional marketers are sending the perfect email at the exact right time to the exact right person. When I first heard this, I realized how much money I was leaving on the table, because if you treat your entire list like one giant blob, you're going to be sending beginner tips to experts and advanced tactics to complete beginners. And last time I checked, blasting irrelevant content doesn't get you sales, right? So you need to use interest tagging. Inside your email software, you can set up an automation that tags people based on what they click. So you know what somebody's interested in, and you can send them more targeted offers and specific copy to solve their specific problems. If I send an email with 3 links, right? One to a copywriting website, one about list building on YouTube, and another one about Facebook ads, I tag everyone who clicks. So if someone clicks the list building link on a YouTube video, my software automatically tags them with interested list building. The next week, I can send them an automated sequence pitching a list building course. This small action made my conversion skyrocket through the roof because I finally was giving people what they wanted. Make no mistake about it, tagging is powerful, but there's an even faster way to find out what your audience wants. And that's rule number 11, the do you segmentation hack. 99% of business owners don't segment their lists. This leaves tons of money on the table, but segmenting is complicated, right? Wrong. Use this do you segmentation hack. You write one email with the subject line that only your perfect customer would open. Something like open only if you have a SaaS AI product. The open rate will be low, maybe 30%, but that's the point. The 30% who open are your perfect customers. The rest don't matter. Now you can focus 100% of your energy on the people who are likely to buy your offer. I had a client that had a TikTok marketing agency for SaaS companies. So I sent this email to his dead list of strangers. Open only if you have a SaaS AI product. And here's what the body said. Do you have a SaaS product? Or maybe you have a product market fit SaaS and you're just looking for another marketing channel to gain extra revenue? If so, hit reply and let me know. I have a crazy way for you to get traffic fast in the next 30 days or less, and you'll be able to recover money in that time period. It's wild. That email got 2 high-ticket clients on the phone, which ended up making around $10,000, which is not bad for a small dead list of strangers. It's pretty astonishing, isn't it? But if you really want to know what's working in your market right now, you have to look outside your own list. And that brings me to rule number 12, subscribe to your competitors' emails. Here's why studying your competitors' emails is a secret way to printing money. So what you want to do is create a burner email account and subscribe to 10 people in your market. Look at what they do. What are they selling? How are they writing? Are they using design formats, text-based formats? What kind of stories are they telling? But let me be clear, you aren't doing this to steal their content. You're doing this to understand the pulse of your market. I keep a swipe file filled with thousands of emails from other marketers. And a few months ago, I noticed a trend from marketers saying how important it is to grow your email list with social media traffic. So I wrote an email saying how social media is the worst place to get traffic. And that email made me a ton of sales. It got me a ton of replies from people who were happy that I finally pointed this out. Now, none of these rules matter if you don't have an email list in the first place, and most people are building their list completely wrong. They're blabbing their strangers with free PDFs that no one reads anymore. They're collecting emails from people who will never buy, and dead leads destroy your deliverability and waste your time. So if you want to build an email list that actually makes you money, watch this video next. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and help support this baby channel. Otherwise, thanks for checking this out.